Canny Maphanga is our senior reporter, live to us now from the Brigitte Mabandla Justice College, and was in the room as that heated exchange took place a short while ago. And Canny, I don't think we've seen anything like this before at the Madlanga Commission.
Indeed. Good morning to you, Ayanda, and to the viewers once again. We thought that these parties were moving forward with Suliman Carrim's evidence, but it's still clear, Ayanda, that the tension remains between these parties, especially with this contentious issue of prejudice and fairness, which is something Suliman Carrim's team has held on to quite dearly since they began their interactions with the Commission. And you just saw the heated exchange between Advocate Barna SC and the chair, retired Justice Madlanga, when they were debating the possible solutions to this dilemma that they have now, where there are documents which Carrim's team feels are quite material to the questioning, and they want sufficient time to interrogate it in forensic detail before it is put to their clients and to consult accordingly. However, you're seeing the evidence leaders state that they're actually not going to go into great detail, but they are going to go into those financial transactions that seemingly what is being suggested may have been allegedly omitted by Suliman Carrim, and they want to test why that is the case. But for whatever the case may be, this is a significant issue or material issue for Suliman Carrim's lawyers, and they want the opportunity to test the evidence for themselves before it is tested by the evidence leaders to Suliman Carrim. So that is where we reach that particular moment. And of course, when Justice Madlanga and Advocate Barna were debating the possible solutions, and there was a suggestion that Justice Madlanga had prejudged, quote-unquote, the issue. You saw Justice Madlanga take great exception to that comment from Advocate Barna, and I think things at this stage are a bit icy, but we are expecting the Commission to return with a way forward as to whether or not the matter will stand down for a postponement application, or the Commission will direct that they continue with the parts that need to be discussed. And then, of course, these transactions that came in at 6 a.m. in the morning, those can be left to another date. But this speaks to an overall issue that we've seen during phase 2 of the testimony, where it is a bit more adversarial, and you are seeing implicated persons who are already coming in on the defense because they're facing a number of allegations, adverse allegations against them, and they want a fair opportunity to respond to the allegations. In the case of Suliman Carrim, it is money and transactions and the flow of that money that not only has serious implications from here, but could have criminal consequences if that is the case, or that is the finding that is made by the Madlanga Commission. So the concerns are that if these kinds of documents are going to be put to the witness, that they need sufficient time to go through this evidence and consult with their lawyers before they deal with the particular evidence. And that is what's causing this constant back and forth during phase 2 of the testimony. You also saw Julius Mkhwanazi come yesterday with a new attorney, and he, who is scheduled to appear on Thursday, also needed several more days in order to prepare for the testimony that will be put forth. So it's about the preparedness, also about the Commission, and then of course the phase 2 concerns of those implicated persons about their rights to a fair hearing before the Commission. So you're going to see a lot of this back and forth. If it happens that you're seeing the Commission deliver documents in the early hours of the morning, just hours before the testimony is expected, and you see a witness like Suliman Carrim, who has clearly beefed up his legal team and is represented by a senior counsel, there is going to be issues with that manner of approach. So we'll see in the next few minutes, or maybe an hour, who knows how long it will take for the Commission to return, as to what the way forward will be. But it seems that there is a great exception from the legal team with respect to this particular evidence that could have serious consequences for Suliman Carrim. And then an overriding issue is being raised about the issue of prejudice and fairness, especially in handling the phase 2 implicated persons, because they are really the ones that get served with the documentation that they're going to be probed on. The phase 1 witnesses came voluntarily, but here you really have to drag some of these witnesses before these probed with the subpoenas. So essentially the issue of fairness is going to continue to be a problem, and now we know the Madlanga Commission has been extended, but the Commission is likely going to have to find a way forward to ensure that if it's going to question phase 2 implicated persons, that they give them the information at a sufficient period, not in the early hours of the morning, which will produce hearings of this nature, where you are now seeing yet another postponement bid by Carrim. I think this is now the fourth postponement, or rather application, that he's bringing against the Madlanga Commission. It all centers around this common recurring theme of prejudice and fairness. So we'll wait for the Madlanga Commission to return with the way forward, and we'll see whether these parties can find each other on this evidence, which I think is not only quite relevant to the Madlanga Commission, but is also now touching on allegations of money laundering and fraud in a tender fraud syndicate, or alleged tender fraud syndicate operating within the country.
And Canny, before I let you go, perhaps let's just try iron out for our viewer what we know and what we don't know so far. I mean, my understanding is that Suliman Carrim's legal team came with essentially two requests. One is to stand down so that they could put together that postponement application. And the second is, of course, for a hearing where that postponement application will be ventilated. But the sense I'm getting is that there's actually no clarity around what the current adjournment is for. I mean, is it to deal with those issues? Is it to for tempers to kind of settle? It seems there's a whole lot more unanswered question than there is, the kind of clarity we need.
I think this issue, or this adjournment rather, is to deal with whether or not they'll be given that time to bring that postponement application. Remember, Charles Carrim is stating that an hour is enough for them to consult with their clients, but they're saying they want to stand down the matter till 12, then bring a postponement application. So they actually have no intention of continuing with the testimony today, arguing that in any case, Suleiman Carrim would not finish his testimony today, and these issues can be dealt with at another date. So you're dealing with a large contingent of a legal team, and of course they want more time to deal with the issues, and the stand down request is for the purposes of preparing that postponement application. It's quite clear from Advocate Bana that he wants to deal with the postponement application in quite forensic detail, not to just bring any reason, but to deal with it and comb through the very documents that he says informs this need for them to postpone, whereas Charles Carrim holds the view that they can just consult for an hour and they'll deal with other issues, but there's no reason to postpone. But because of that back and forth, and Carrim's lawyers thinking that their issue was being prejudged, it became unclear what the adjournment was for. But they were actually debating what the possible resolution would be, and if the Commission took this particular step, then how would they feel about that? But because of the back and forth and the tense nature of that exchange between Justice Madlanga and Advocate Bana, they adjourned quite quickly, which might have caused that confusion. But essentially what we're waiting for is to see the way forward in terms of whether they stand down for the postponement bid, or is that evidence eliminated for now and they deal with something else, which I think might be tricky, because I think the questioning of Advocate Matthew Charles Carrim leans in quite great detail on the transactions that have been allegedly omitted by Suliman Carrim and why. But we'll find out in the next few minutes what the case will be before the Madlanga Commission.
All right, Canny Maphanga has left to us from the Brigitte Mabandla Justice College, and yeah, what a morning. We'll certainly keep a close eye on the situation for you. As soon as there's any movement, we'll certainly take you back there to get a sense of what the way forward looks like.